Welcome back to Creative Frenzy, everyone. I wanted to work in our little magazine, recycled magazine art journals. That's what I'm going to call it. So I hope you made some yourself. My last video I showed you how I made these, and I thought today we'd do something a little bit more. So there's quite a few here. I'm only going to work on one at a time. I have glued the fold-out pages together. Here, let me show you. I just glued with a glue stick in here. Just, use a dry glue because otherwise everything is going to go very wrinkly on you, unless that's the look you're going for. I find it annoying, but you do you, whatever works. And then it works nicely, and then you can work on it almost immediately. You can fix these little bits or you can rip them out, it doesn't matter. And then you can put an extra staple in if you like. If you don't have a long reach stapler, just use a regular stapler. Open it up and then have your little foam pad underneath. And then all you're going to do is just put a staple in like this. It'll be open on the other side. It'll pull through, and then you can just flatten it out and you're good to go. So that's one way to get around it. All right. So I thought I'd share with you my latest purchase, tissue paper. So I have been creating gel prints on tissue paper, and I love the effect it has. So I have a lot of scraps left over from other projects, which is great because you can use them in just about anything. So this is my little scrap box. So I just, keep all the little bits and pieces. You can use them for all kinds of things. And I will show you that in a little bit. But if you don't have a gel plate and you don't feel like, messing around with paint, you can buy tissue paper. There's some gorgeous ones. I got these. Hold on. Let me show you the whole basket here. Yeah. So I got all of this at Dollar Tree. They have a plethora of patterns. They have animals, they have plants, and then they all come with a solid also. So you can do lots of different things with them. So yeah, if you did not want to mess around with paint, you could do that. And they have florals, they have all kinds of things. They even have some like geometrics, if that's what you're in for. Let's see what else. Yeah. Geometrics, some neutrals, even animal print, funky colors. This one here, which is, it looks like brush strokes already, so if you didn't want to mess with paint, you could do something like that. Here's a metallic, which is kind of cool. So it depends, right, on what you're looking for. And then, they have more of the festive ones that they have, and I don't know. There is a whole plethora of them. I went a little crazy and I bought a whole bunch. So that's, just for fun. I just wanted to try something different. And, not always do you want to take your paints out. So if you are traveling, which a lot of us are doing nowadays, or you don't want a big mess, you can do something like this. All you need is scissors and a glue stick and your substrate. You're good to go. So you could make all kinds of backgrounds with this. And then if you wanted to stamp some images ahead of time and then glue those in, you can absolutely do that. So I thought it'd be fun. I'm sorry, my chair creaks quite a bit. So if you hear that, that's what that is. Now, these sheets are quite large. So cutting these down to bite size is quite simple, obviously, just scissors. I am just going to cut a very long, and you don't even have to be straight at this point if you don't want to. Let's see, trying to find the middle here. It's here somewhere. So you get quite a few tissue paper in one of these. It's almost like napkins. So if you didn't want to mess around with napkins, because napkins, you need water in order to get that nice and easily you know, taken apart if you didn't want to see the edges kind of thing. So, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a question of what your preference is. But I thought, you know, if you don't have napkins available, like if you don't have lots of pretty napkins in your area, tissue paper, check it out and see what they have, because chances are tissue paper is around. Even if you just use solids, you can still do quite a bit with that. Now, I am not even going to do a background on here, because what this adds, if there's already a photo there, it adds more interest to the final outcome. Now, obviously, if you wanted to gesso it or whatever, you absolutely could. It's one of those things, it's up to you, you know, dealer's choice, basically. But I like the idea of seeing some of that background, or, you know, if you wanted to cover it up, you absolutely could, because why not? So you could do a solid over top. You could do your just plain copy paper. You could do, oh my goodness, you could do so many different things. It's entirely up to you. But all I do is just cut it up. The beauty of tissue paper is it just layers nicely, so you don't really have to worry too much about it. I'm not even going to figure it all out ahead of time. So a lot of the times when I work with tissue paper, it's very, very thin, obviously. That's the beauty of it, because you can see the stuff underneath it. But it's also, it doesn't add extra bulk to your project. So let's say, you know, your project is quite bulky to begin with. You know, if you have lots of paper, pages and things like that, you don't have to worry too much about adding extra bulk. Now, there is a dull side and there's a shiny side. You can, you know, whatever your preference is, you can do that and then figure out for yourself if you like the shiny side up or the glue side down, or the rough side down, up rather. Sorry. You can trim everything afterwards. Just glue it down. Just have fun with it. I'm just adding this for color. Again, glue stick is your best friend in this case. And you can go over the center because it'll help strengthen your spine a little bit on the booklet. So you can just make sure that you have that glued down nicely. You can use a bone folder to sort of get some of those wrinkles out. If you like the wrinkles, leave them in. And again, the glue stick is your best friend in this case because it doesn't wrinkle as much. And if you don't want to overlap, you don't have to. I usually just use my fingers, just to sort of smooth it out a little bit. And then I'm just going to go in and trim. Alright. So refold your spine a little bit. Now you can tear your pages, you can, you know, just cut all kinds of shapes if that's what you want. You can keep it open and cut it along the edges, but you have to be careful when you cut too close to the other edges because you don't want to open up your pages on the end. So if you have a lot, what you can do, you can always go like this. Okay, so if you didn't have scissors or you don't want to mess with the whole thing, it's kind of nice to have that little rough edge at the top. So by the time your booklet's all full, it'll have all different colors, which would be kind of cool too. But, you know, again, be careful when you go towards the edge because you don't want to get too close. And all this does really is hide some of that background, and it does end up strengthening your pages nicely. So there we go. So it's not overly opaque, which is nice. You can obviously layer more on top of it if that's what you want to do. But since this print is fairly dark, now that I have some underneath there, you will not see too much of the background. So at this point, you can keep it in one shape, rectangular, or you can cut it apart. So if you want more of an abstract background, you absolutely could. I have so much tissue paper now, it's not even funny. So I thought I'd make some projects with it and just have fun. And show you that, you know, you can create, like those of us who love collage, this is a good way to do it also, because it's fun to just sort of play. So you can start in the center. And then you can play with placement. You can go on the diagonal, you can go up horizontal, you can do it any which way you like. But I thought it'd be fun to just play. And again, you know, if your background is really cool in your magazine, whatever magazine you're using, some of these you can put upside down too, by the way. It doesn't all have to be one way or the other. That's kind of what I like about abstract. You can just sort of play. It's a background, so it doesn't really matter too much. And if you like the other side better, go for it. If you didn't like the shiny side up. I love the colors in this. So anytime you use something with more color punch to it, you have more options of what the final result will be. So, which is kind of nice. So tissue paper does not work the same way as printed or gel printed, word I'm looking for, tissue paper. The one that I normally do for my other projects. So I do kind of like that they layer up so nicely. And again, I'm not being overly careful on how I trim this. This is all about experimentation, and that's one thing I like about these little booklets is that, you know, when you make these little art journals, you can try different things. You don't have to be too precious about it because, you know, it's just paper. You can recycle it if you want to afterwards, or you keep working on it until you're happy with the end result, which is, you know, entirely up to you. To save on trimming on the edges, I just try to get as close as possible. I think I want some more leaves here. I really like this tissue paper pattern. It's got a really nice fall feel to it. So these would be great on cards too. I mean, tissue paper is such a inexpensive substrate that you can do so many different things with it. So, but now you can see that the background is pretty much hidden and we can carry on and do other things. So you can trim. And I think too you'll find that because it's such an easy and inexpensive supply that you'll find lots of different uses for it. So now that our background is pretty much, you know, obscured, you can go in, make sure it's all down. It doesn't have to be 100%. Don't over glue it because then you get more wrinkles. It's annoying. So There we go. So now what we can do is we can do our stamped image, or we can get our gel prints out even. This is a good way to use them up too. I'm using my gel prints on tissue paper, but if you have just regular copy paper gel prints, you can use those obviously. Do whatever you like. But I thought these would be fun to print on. Or not print on, stamp on. So, I don't know, do I want to do this? Orange. Maybe not orange. So here's a nice teal. So something like this, you can absolutely, you know, work as a whole page kind of thing. Sorry about that. So you can work as a whole page and have that as a full layout. Or you can divvy it up kind of thing. Like this, right? So, whichever way you like to do it. So I recently got a bunch of stamps through AliExpress. They're the Jane Davenport ones. There's quite a few of them here. And I thought they would be fun to play with. So the thing I like about Jane Davenport stamps is that she has all these really pretty images. You know, there's some really pretty ones. Anyway, I thought I'd use one of these, and we can go from there. Yeah, if I can get them out. So I don't know, maybe not. You know what? She's got these really cute ones too. I like these ones too. Let's go for one of these. Let's go for the one with balloons. I don't know if my stamp block's big enough, but we'll make do. We can print it onto white paper because it'll probably just show up better. Now you can leave it black and white. Nobody says you have to color everything in. You can do it any which way you like, which is kind of the beauty of making your own projects. Do cover up your glue though, because I have a habit of not to. There we go. Let's see how this turns out. Now you could obviously do this on white tissue paper or tracing paper if you want to keep everything nice and thin. It's entirely up to you. Hold it there for a second or two. There we go. Oh, that's so cute. I thought it would be interesting to do something like this. And again, you do not have to color it in. Now you can fussy cut, you can do it on a shape, whatever you like. I'm going to do a rough fussy cut, I think. Fussy cutting is still not my favorite thing to do, but I'm getting better at it. So that's a bonus. I think sometimes I make more work for myself. So we'll see how it goes. There we go. Now at this point, you know, she sort of doesn't quite fit in, but if we go like this, so let's go this way because I don't want all that to show. Oops. There we go. Oh, excuse Use the creaky chair. Now there is yellow in this background, but no green. That doesn't mean we can't add some. The turquoise is not quite there. This has a little bit of yellow in this gel print, so that's what I'm going to use. Painted tissue. It's not the easiest thing to rip in different directions. So this way it's not the easiest. So you have to have a little bit more control if you like the ripped edges. There we go. It's always, I find, easier to put the glue down onto your substrate than it is to put it onto the tissue paper and then glue it down, because it tends to want to rip. And glue stick dries fairly quickly, so you don't have to worry too much if you glue in areas where you're not going to be sticking anything. It'll dry nice and matte, so you don't have to worry about it. So if there's, you know, glue lines over top, it's not going to make any difference. But I love that you can still see the background, which is really the whole point of having this kind of medium. All right. I think we'll do some coloring. I have my Prismacolor pencil crayons here, just, you know, in a mug. Nothing fancy, so we'll see if we can pull some of the colors from the background. I'm going to make her look a little bit more like she's having fun outside in the fall. Yes, she's wearing a t-shirt. That's okay. Some fall days are still quite warm. You can use markers. You could use stickers if you didn't have, you know, stamps. It's fine. You can do whichever one you like. Watercolors are really nice in this case. If you make a lot of these things ahead of time and you're traveling, you know, you can stamp a bunch of these out, color them, and then take them with you. And you can potentially have all this stuff ready for you, so you don't have to bring paints or anything like that. So let's say you're being restricted in your travels and you can't bring certain things. This is a way around it. All right. So she's got a lot of blue and yellows in here. More of an aqua, isn't it? All right. If the camera is shaking, I apologize. This is not the smoothest background to be coloring on, but it'll be fine. I do have some pretty highlighters, so that would stand out a little bit more. So markers would work just as well for this kind of thing. Be cute. Green one. I like these highlighters. I got them on Dollar Tree. They're nice and subtle. They have a nice quality to them. And they have a really cute selection. And it makes it a little bit brighter for this application anyway. And gives me an excuse to use them, besides my journal. Definitely makes them pop a bit more, so that's a lot of fun. Sometimes I forget what colors they are. Oh, blue, there we go. So if you go over top of your pencil crayons, you can absolutely do that. And if you wanted some of that not to be there, this is a cutting mat, so you don't have to worry about holes. So sometimes just taking the extra little bit out makes all the difference. Since my highlighter is not a skinny one, this works too. And then all I'm going to do is give her some rosy cheeks, because not everything can be colored in easily. It's quite tiny. So now if you wanted to, you could make sure, you know, you go all the way with the cutting and everything, but this is okay. So what else can we do? Layer up the tissue. So you do something like that if you want it. All kinds of things, but for this kind of thing, I'm going to keep it a little bit simple. I do want a sun. You could stamp one, you could do all kinds of things. There we go. And then usually what I do with the second one, especially if you double up your paper, I like adding color in other areas. So all I do is make little rings like this, so we can continue the color across the page. All right. There we go. I kind of like that. So it gives the effect that things are sort of moving along. Okay. So in this case, I would glue this because this is just copy paper. It's strong enough to handle it. There we go. All right, and then what we're going to do is we are going to cut some of these in half so it looks like they're going off the page. So we're going to hide some of this, or at least disguise it a little bit. All right. And we'll cut this one too. So what I like about this is that you can, you know, make it all cohesive if you just add it in other areas too. Whoops. It is tissue paper. Yes, it's finicky, so you have to be kind of gentle with it. But they layer up so nicely that it doesn't take much. So you can go across the center or you can go off center a bit. And I just sort of do like that. and you got to lay it down. Where it lands, that's where it's going to stick, because it'd be very difficult to pick it back up again. All right. There we go. Again, glue stick dries fairly easily, so you don't have to worry too much. All right. And going over the edge is better than going short, so that you can always trim it, right? I always say it doesn't matter too much how much glue you put on there, but I always tend to want to glue it down. So you try to do an odd number. So here you see the orange, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can add more if you really wanted to. Maybe I'll add another one here. That'll be okay. Because what we can do is we can do a couple of little circles. This orange has a really nice pop of color. Again, it just unifies everything. Oh, going crooked. Before I cut my nails, this was easier because I could actually grab it. But now that I've cut them, it's more difficult to get a hold of because tissue paper is so thin. It is finicky, like I said, but it's also a lot of fun to create with. And it's a different way of creating because you have to sort of think about things ahead of time, which is, you know, it's a great thing, but it can also be very annoying. All right. So there we go. That's kind of cool. Now we just need something. So we could do it in black or white. There we go. So if you find these don't stick very well, then you can always obviously use extra glue. There we go. So done. It's the little things that make life big. So you can just refold. There we go. And because it's tissue paper, it's not going to bulk up on you, and it'll be perfect. And by the time it dries, all of this will be nice and adhered, and you don't have to worry about it. So there we have it, guys. The first page in our little art journal from a magazine with tissue paper and some fun stamps. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and there'll be more to come, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.